Yeah, everything is subject to change, and you have change that could be deliberate change, a change that's designed, a design change. Like somebody goes up and says, "Change my face." Like everybody now is getting noses that all look alike because whoever was top notch in the beauty pageant at that time will get her hair copied, her gestures copied, her nose copied, and the way she puts makeup on copied. And for a long time, that Brooke Shields' eyebrows were being copied. So I mean, that's deliberate change, right? And then there's change that goes on all the time, that is constantly in a state of movement, that changes. It's in a constant state of strife. It's not getting on with anything, and still it's holding together in a state of strife, right?
Yeah.
Like if you look at the activities of nature, all of them have certain strife involved to them. Like you ever watch a bud trying to blossom? I mean, you can almost feel it, like, you know, the thing coming apart. Like I used to have these blossoms. They used to be on my balcony, and I used to sit there and watch them, man. I'd watch them all year long because I was there. And the thing would be right there. It'd come time for it. It was apricot blossoms, and I could see the little buds coming out of the branches. And they were forcing, they were coming, it was always in some state of agitation, something, and the bugs were leaping, and things were coming, and the sap was moving. Everything was alive, right? Changing. That change that's going on. Then in the summer pass, in the fall, you'd see it struggling again, and that whole process was taking place. But it seemed like a cyclical change because you'd see it every year. There's cyclical changes, and the change that never sees again, that change that moves and you never see again, you know, is that a linear change? Linear, then we would have some kind of historical background for that kind of change. Why I'm raising the arguments of change is that women want men to change. She honestly wants him to change. Change from what to what? You have to know what you are before you can change to something else. That's a deliberate change. It's not a cyclical change. It's a deliberate change. Because if it was a cyclical change, you would change back again to this thing you were. The woman wants you to change linearly, to shed yourself of that skin that you had, watch this, they see you as a lizard. They see you as something that can shed your skin, leave it behind, or whatever metaphor and analogy is appropriate to the shedding of and to the changing to be. They want somebody to leave their skin behind and come forward nude, stripped of all the baby fat, stripped of all the fears and the little men that you carried along with you, stripped of that dependency you had on your mom, stripped of all that crap that just burdened you and made you deceivious, lie, cold, dispatched, whatever. Come forward in change that way. They want you to change, you see, but they're not telling you change into what? They're telling you to change, to get rid of your skin, to get rid of whatever it is that makes you, to get rid of it. Tell me, what is it that you want me to get rid of? Well, you blow air through your teeth. Get rid of the bad habits. Get rid of this. Get rid of, and appropriately so, because these habits now annoy other people, like people clicking their teeth. People constantly going, like Albright, when Albright's ready to go, yeah. I asked him if he would try farting sometimes. I said, just to change it a bit, you know what I mean? Why don't you try farting for me? Change, right? They want you to change, but they're not telling you what to change. What they're just telling you to get rid of what it is that makes you up. Well, you definitely don't want me. You definitely don't want me. If you want me to change anything I have, you don't, isn't that right?
I think so.
Yeah, you don't want me.
You want somebody else.
You want somebody else. If I have to tell the person, change the way you're talking, change the way you're looking, you ought to consider yourself a little more, with a little more dignity, with a little more respect. Change the habits that you have. Change. Well, you say, holy shit, I'll do, but what do I do then? Let's say, for instance, you told me to bathe every day. Well, then, all right, I will. I'll bathe every goddamn day. But then what? What do I do then? I mean, what do I do with that chill that goes through me, with that awfulness of looking at water? You see what I'm saying? Change, but allow me to do what? They're not, so the woman says, I don't know. I don't know. But I know one thing, the woman is saying. I know that you've subjugated me. I know that you've exploited me. I know that you've used me as a whore. I know that you've done all these things. I know that you wanted me to sit and listen to the dumbest things anybody could think of with awe struck in my face. My eyebrows raised, my jaw dropped, total interest in what you're saying. You wanted me to be a mama to that goddamn kitty, or something that you considered me to be just the vessel of, and now you walk around proudly calling him your son, my son. The women have gotten tired of this, you see. I mean, I don't want to speak on behalf of women, but women have gotten tired of the male the way the male is. He wants. He never stops wanting. So the woman says, change, man. Don't keep wanting all these goddamn things. Change. Let me want something too. Listen to me. I want something too. It's always you that wants. You never allow me to want anything.
Exactly.
Not only that, but you want me to be lustful and totally depraved every time we're going to make love. You want me to march around with the most depraved fucking clothes, and what you brought me for my birthday was depraved clothes. Bring nothing to their birthday. That way they can't accuse you of anything.
Wow.
Be sweet to them all the time, man. All the time. Birthday every day, sweetheart. Every day is birthday for them. Sweet to them every fucking day, man. You follow me?
Right.
That's what love is about.
Yeah.
Love is about being sweet every fucking minute they're with you, man. Sweet. You don't have to be tough on them. Be sweet. Hit them, though. Teach them how they can be hit by constantly working out your moves on them in a loving, sweet way. Right? You know what I'm saying? So they feel that. But they feel it in a loving way as opposed to an aggressive. You know, you could slap a person in a loving way and the man would come all over himself. A woman slap a man sexually, he'd piss all over his pants. I don't think the American male knows how to, nor does the American female know how to slap sexually. This is a prerogative. This is a prerogative only of Mediterraneans, of hot-blooded women who are fucking violent. And they're violent women, man. They fucking get a knife and stab you with it. They're violent women. They're women who have been, like Medea, scorned, man. Don't you remember Kazantzakis in his work, Zorba told me, you don't scorn women, man.
That's right.
They ask you to make love and you say, no, you got yourself an enemy. You don't have a friend anymore. You know what I mean? That's right. So a woman's feelings are different than a man's feelings in the fact as to what she considers to be love. And she's telling the male, but in one respect the woman is right. In one respect you can't argue against her. It's in the demand that she's making, the construction of demand. She snatched that from some military manual, from some depraved man's head. She's arguing Freud as to the penis complex or the penis envy, arguing Freud with Freud's own argument that Freud was wrong. Who gives a shit? Like the Gordian knot. Alexander the Great couldn't untie the knot. He took a sword and sliced it. The smart man would have walked away. Right? Right?
Right. Exactly.
Like what? Lady Caroline Lamb, she told Wellington when Wellington said, yes, he was fucking her. And he said, yes, he said, but I beat Napoleon. And she said, yes, you will be remembered as the one who beat Napoleon, but Napoleon will be remembered as himself, Napoleon. Remembered as him, man. You're something so different, something so beyond what people are all about. Something that is so dynamic that from then on in you can either go with it or go against it. The women want a man in a sense for their feelings. She wants a man to have for her feelings. Women really can go without sex as long as their feelings are satisfied. When their feelings aren't satisfied, man, it turns into sex. With a man, when his feelings are screwed up, he can't have sex.
Exactly.
If he's disturbed, he's this, he's that, he's totally impotent. It's the exact opposite with a woman. She becomes very sexually active, man. You know, so the male now, he gets there and he doesn't do nothing for her feelings. Not as an American woman, not as a modern woman, not as any of that shit, but as a goddamn female. A fucking female that was the same female 3 million years ago. The same female that swung on the fucking tree with me. You see, way back then, she was a female, and she's a female now. The only thing is, she doesn't think she's a female anymore because she's been reflected off that sissy man. The men today who are buying Bly, Keane, and the rest of them is the man in between the wars. It's not the ones who fought the wars. The ones who fought the wars know who the fuck they are. The veterans, every veteran of a battle knows who he is. He knows how scared he is. These men are scared and don't know why they're scared. You see, a veteran knows what scared him, man. These people don't know what scares them. They buy it as an image. These people, not only are they pre-literate, they're pre-imaged. Their images comes from an image of an image. Their image comes from what the ancient Greeks used to call the Simra, man. The inner part of the fantasy. The Simra, you know, it becomes hell, the Simra, because it is the fantasy of the fantasy. It's the fantasy of the... Just say, for instance, that it's the fantasy of the imagination. It goes into paranoia. Wow. It goes into deep-rooted madness. This is the way the ancients used to be able to explain the inner workings of the mind. You see, what happened in ancient times, man split from the natural philosophies to the psychological introspective philosophies, and that big split took place with the sophists. So Plato is more from the sophistic school, from the school of Gorgias, as he is from the school, let's say, of Thales, Anaximanders, or Heraclitus. He moves into that school, but he now rejects all poetry, he rejects all activities of the imagination as being the works of madness. As being the works, see, being touched by the muses means to be mad, right? Who in tragedy in the old was walking and he brought a cow, and the muses came,
Esau,
and she gave him the staff that the muses give. Esau was mad, and he wrote the Theogony. He listed where the gods belong. He wrote the hierarchy of the gods. This is what this is our information comes mostly from the works that's still left from Esau. Because he was mad. Plato knew that madness like that can't be trusted. He needed reason. So he was the first psychologist, really. He wanted to be able to penetrate the inner mind through reason. Where the poet says you can't. You can't penetrate. You can only penetrate it through rhythms. The words become notes. The words have no meaning to me at all. They're notes in my mouth, man. They make fucking songs come up. It's the songs that I play. It's just that words are there, just like on the thought wheel, where random words pop up. You understand? It's this that motivates, that keeps it moving, that keeps the thoughts spinning, that there is no pauses in it, that there is no paper in front of me, there's nothing, it just keeps going on and on. It can't stop, don't you see what I mean? The changes are going on. Change, is this what women want? Is this kind of change they want? Do they want the kind of change that I speak of? This kind of change that keeps moving? Or do they want the change that he changed into this, and therefore he stays like that? I want a polite man. A man who's polite. The extension and the parameters of politeness are what? I mean, what can I say and not say? What might offend you and not offend you? Was politeness intended to be offensive or non-offensive? Maybe the polite man is more offensive than the not polite man. Maybe politeness itself is offensive because of the things that it disguises. And all I have to be is polite with a smile on my face, and you know I'm ridiculing you.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
A sneer in my face as I touch my forelock. You touch your forelock, you know, in the old days when the king came by. You went like this. You touched your forelock. You know, the forelock is what you touch when you make your cross, right?
Right.
It's the beginning of the station, the forelock. Right? You didn't know that, did you?
No, I've never heard that.
Oh, sure. You touch your forelock and you bend your head like this in more servitude, you know, to the Lord. To the Lord and Master, you know. The one that's been allowed to be there. But the issue, I don't want to leave the issue of why I raised at the beginning of this conversation, I raised as to detection, is that we have to live with women. We have to be with women in order to be men. A woman has to be with man in order to be woman. A woman who's by herself, there's something's wrong with her. She talks funny. She's shy at the wrong time. You find an older woman that has the shyness of a fucking child rather than the assurity of a mature woman, you know what I mean? Because they're by themselves. It's the man who makes a woman. It's the man who allows the woman to partake in any kind of love activity. And then the woman allows him. But the woman has subjected herself to him. She's allowed herself through the centuries of having to listen to his goddamn egotisms, to listen to this. This only takes place at a certain level in society. On the upper levels, the women have always been wild. You know what I mean? On the upper levels, on the rich levels, you know, like that Caroline Lamb, she was notorious. She was.
Of European society, it's not true in.
Oh yes, of American society.
Arab society, that's not true.
Of what? Of the upper classes. We're not talking about Arab society.
Yeah, I said.
We're talking about society now, here, today.
That's true.
We're not looking at comparative women, because the only thing you could say of comparative women is that these women here will say about Arabian women that they were Muslim women, that they couldn't live like that. They couldn't, you know. But
Right.
then the Muslim women say they couldn't live the way these women live. You know, they want certain freedoms over there. They want certain freedoms, like the ability to drive a car, you know, not to have to wear veils, not to do. They want certain freedoms, which is great, that they should have, you know, in a period of more enlightenment. But then there's other things that the male there won't relinquish. And what he won't relinquish is the attitude he has toward the woman. That the woman is a proprietary thing, a piece of property. She belongs to me. If you look at her and she looks back at you, I'll kill her. She gave her feelings to someone else. Right? Now what I've tried to do in my work is I try to explore the various facets, these various facets of exploration. I wanted to explore what does a PhD look like, act like when he comes home and he finds ejaculations on his bed covers, his wife. These are all true stories. I mean, they are all things that actually happen. He finds ejaculation on the bed covers. The guy there, the wife tells him that it's an electrician who came to fix the lights. It sounds like a comedy, but it wasn't a comedy, because here's a man of an education like his scraping up that jism off the bed to take it down to a lab to have it analyzed to find out, because she said it was cat puke and he said it was cum. Now you tell me where all the rationalization, the finesse, the dissertation, the looking in the library, the professorial tone, the professorial look, all this horse shit. When he found fuck on his bed, he became a raving lunatic. He saw the comings of someone else on his bed. Now look at what he saw. He saw the ejaculation of another male on his nest. He saw something that on his territory, just the way a dog pees. This has to go back 2-3 million years, man. This has to be biological. Like Darwin asked an interesting question. He wrote to 45 people around the world, and he asked them, he said, look, excuse me, he said, look, He said, I want to find out, in astonishment, does the eyes open up, the eyebrows lift, and the jaw come undone? He said, is it like that in your world, in your culture? And he got back enough favorable response that he came out in his works, The Expressions of the Human Species. He came out and it was biological, he said. The emotion of man is biological to all men. Feelings now develop another way. They come from the emotion, they come into the world, they're interchanged with culture, they're interchanged with times. My feelings toward a woman are one thing. My emotions toward a female is something else. I don't have emotions toward a woman. I have emotions to a female. I have feelings to a woman. Does that make sense?
Boy, that's an incredible distinction, but I understand what you're saying, sure.
No, elaborate.
Do I make... Do I
I don't
make sense?
understand. Elaborate.
You see? Now this is important to understand within myself. It doesn't make any difference to me if you understand it, or they understand it, or anybody understands it. It's important to me because I don't want to get it mixed up. My emotion toward the female is what a male, I imagine, has toward a female, has toward a male. Her scent, her look, her movement, her touch, her sweat, her scent. Everything about her does something to me. If enough of these things do something to me, they captivate me. They bring me into some kind of state that I was different in than I was before. This is change. Something now has changed me from this docile creature that I was before into something else. I want to see that female again. I feel anxious. My skin starts to feel warm. I feel sometimes a sweat. I've lost my appetite. I'm moping. I'm moving around. I find myself laying back and daydreaming. She has touched me, man.